carotenes, beta-carotene, alpha-carotene, astaxanthin, lutein, lycopene, quercetin, and much more. Save your money, save your time. Compare, and you'll find that there is no more researched or superior product available on the market today. Call now and get your discount prices on your next Bio Superfood at 303-257-7576, 303-257-7576, or biosuperfood@hotmail.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Herb.
All of God's people have a ministry, and it's a trick of our enemy to keep God's people sick and worn out to hinder their ability to minister. We are often judgmental toward people who are addicted to booze, cigarettes, and drugs, but we at the Green Herb have found that most of God's people are unknowingly addicted to the two most addictive products in America, sugar and soda pop. If you have a sickness or disease, or if you're just tired a lot, the Green Herb has an herbal product that is formulated just for you, and it's just $15.95. Come by the Green Herb, located in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, on the I-70 Frontage Road North, 1 mile west of Kipping, or call 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372, or go to our website, www.thegreenherb.com, and be sure to listen to the Green Herb Show with Linda and Dr. Cass every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on KHNC.
Told we must choose between a left or right. But I suggest there's no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Up to man's age-old dream, the maximum of individual freedom consistent with order, or down to the ant heap of totalitarianism. Regardless of their sincerity or their humanitarian motives, those who would sacrifice freedom for security have embarked on this downward path. Plutarch warned, the real destroyer of the liberties of the people is he who spreads among them bounties, donations, and benefits. Ronald Reagan, October 27th, 1964. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Riell Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook and YouTube and RealTV.com, and in the book, Riell Truth, Stay Angry. And, of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. The call-in number, 877-254-7524. My friends, August 24th will be our 4th anniversary show. I promise you something unique. Item. In a speech published on his website Thursday, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad said the ultimate goal of world forces must be the annihilation of Israel. Speaking to ambassadors from Islamic countries ahead of Quds Day, that's Jerusalem Day, an annual Iranian anti-Zionist event established in 1979 by the Ayatollah Khomeini, and which falls this year on August 17th, Ahmadinejad said that a, quote, horrible Zionist current, unquote, has been managing world affairs, quote, for about 400 years, unquote. Repeating traditional anti-Semitic slurs, the Iranian president accused Zionists of controlling the world's media and financial systems. It was Zionists, he said, who are, quote, behind the scene of the world's main powers, media, monetary, and banking centers, unquote. They are the decision makers, to the extent that the presidential election hopefuls of the USA must go and kiss the feet of the Zionists to ensure their election victory, he added. Ahmadinejad added that liberating Palestine would solve all the world's problems, although he did not elaborate on exactly how that might work. Quds Day is not merely a strategic solution for the Palestinian problem, as it is to be viewed as a key for solving the world's problems, he said. He added, anyone who loves freedom and justice must strive for the annihilation of the Zionist regime in order to pave the way for world justice and freedom. The Iranian president said Israel reinforced the dominance of arrogant powers in the region and across the globe, and that Arab countries in particular, he cited Bahrain, Yemen, Libya, Syria, and Turkey, were affected by Israel's, quote, plots. Ahmadinejad, who has called the Holocaust a myth, has previously called for Israel's annihilation in a 2005 speech in which he used a Persian phrase that translates literally as, quote, wiped off time, unquote. My friends, imagine that you live in a country, and the country selects as its leader out-and-out moron. Ever want to live in Iran? No, me either. But look at the idiot that they've put up as president. This fool, empty head, is the president of a country. And so if he is the president, if he has climbed to the pinnacle of power, can you imagine how brain dead the citizens of Iran must be? Can you imagine how there must be no soul in this country? Can you imagine what the average Iranian is dreaming of? He's dreaming of jihad. He's dreaming of the death of Zionists. He's dreaming of the great Satan and the lesser Satan being burnt to the ground, the flag of Allah flying over capitals all around the world. Free speech will cut your tongue out. Not wearing a hijab will stone you. If you're a Jew, you will convert or will kill you. This is Iran. This is the Iranian people. This is their president. I'll give the guy one thing. I gotta give him credit. Gotta be honest, right? He's not a hypocrite. He doesn't say one thing and do another. He doesn't try and pass himself off as something he's not. He is a Jew-hating, racist, jihadist moron, and he's proud of it. He makes no bones about it. He'll tell you in person or in an official address. You got to respect him for that, at least. No hypocrisy. Compare that with the idiots we have running America, who are smiling on the TV cameras and then screwing us in the background. Anyway, back to Mr. I'm in a dinner jacket. He makes no bones about the fact that he wants to destroy Israel. To do that, he's going to have to kill millions of men, women, and children. Okay, I hear. And so we're going to do what about it? We're going to do what? You're talking about hypocrisy. Look at this whole stink about Chick-fil-A. People are up in arms. People are screaming. People are chanting. They're protesting. They're venting their rage, lest any of our citizens possibly not be treated with the respect that they are due. Where are these people when we're talking about a holocaust of millions of people? Where are they? I don't see them. I don't hear them. I don't see the protests. They will go and protest over whatever cause will make them look nice in their friends' eyes, whatever sounds good at cocktail parties, whatever sounds good at the water cooler. Why not? In Israel, we've got a country that's quickly developing, and for all I know, may already have developed nuclear weapons. The leader of the country is saying openly he plans to use them against Israel, and all these wonderful liberals who stand up for the human rights and stand up for dignity and are against totalitarianism, they are where? They're nowhere. Where's the West? Where's Mr. Obama? Now that it's an election season, he wants you to know he's a great friend of Israel. Good. What are you doing to help Israel? I hear talk. All I hear is talk. Talk, 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 talk. Talk will not help Israel. What will help Israel? A decimated Iran will help Israel and the entire world. Not only will the nuclear threat be ended, but the message will be sent to jihadist regimes around the world. Your ambitions for global jihad stop here. And if you ever attempt to have your own nuclear program, you will also disappear from the face of the globe. My friends, we're wasting no time this week. It's Monday on Riell Truth. We'll be right back.
Now this is the testimony of John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, to ordain and establish this Constitution.
Restore Health and Counseling salutes the men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedoms. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve, as they have fought hard to restore peace. America's troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. That's from Restore Health and Counseling at 4705 Paris Street, serving Northeast Denver with complete substance abuse counseling for adolescent to adult and for private as well as professional drug, alcohol screening and treatment and rehabilitation. Visit us at www.rhctherapy.com or call 303-373-1188. Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245.
My friends, welcome back to Riell Truth. Wayne Allen Root wasn't only the vice presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party last time. Much more important than that, he's been a guest here on Riell Truth. He's talking now about President Obama and Obama's ridiculous opinions to the effect that businesses can't exist without government, that if you started your own business, well, you didn't create it, government did. Obviously, Mr. Obama is an idiot. Here's Wayne Allen Root to say so much more diplomatically than I do.
Hi, I'm Wayne Allen Root for Personal Liberty. My video commentary this week is in response to President Obama's comments that business owners owe government and others for our success. My message to Obama, we built it. We don't owe you a thing. As a matter of fact, you owe us. President Obama has it backwards. Business owners don't owe credit to government for their success. Government owes us credit for its existence. Government doesn't enable or empower business owners. Business owners empower government. Business owners would do just fine with no government, but government employees, and the takers of society, those who accept checks from government, could not survive without us, the creators, producers, and taxpayers. Simply put, we pay all the bills for your government. We're the ones you ought to be thanking. Let me paint a picture even an economic illiterate like Obama can understand. Let's say you own a restaurant. Who needs who? Do the patrons of the restaurant need you, the restaurant owner? No. They could choose any one of 1,000 other restaurants in your big city. They could stay home and cook for themselves, or they can even choose to not eat tonight. Most Americans could use a day off from eating. But you, the business owner, couldn't survive without customers. You desperately need the patronage of your customers. You need to be nice, genuflect, and show gratitude. Without customers, you couldn't stay in business. Every employee of your restaurant is even dependent on the customers for their checks. Even ignorant leftists and socialists in Obama's cabal can't argue with that. Now let's extend that business model to government. Government is the business. The taxpayers are the customers, just like the restaurant example. Government doesn't survive if the customers, the taxpayer, doesn't pay the bills. Government is dependent on us, our hard work, our taxes. If we go on strike and stop paying, government goes out of business. The only difference is that in a free market capitalist society, the customer freely chooses to spend his or her money at the restaurant of their choice. But in the case of government, the customer is limited to only one choice. If government can't pay the bills, instead of going out of business, government just raises taxes and extorts more money out of the taxpayer. So why does Obama think we owe him? Sure, we need the things that help our society and economy grow. I agree. Infrastructure, roads, bridges, traffic lights, police, fire, garbage, sewers, hospitals, airports, schools, and national defense. Though much of that could be handled by private enterprise. But Obama misses the crucial point. We, the business owners and taxpayers, paid for all of that already with our taxes. We built it. You owe us a debt of gratitude thank you for the things we already paid for. When the customer walks out of the restaurant or the toy store or the hardware store, who thanks whom? The business owner thanks the customer for spending our money in his establishment. Instead of telling us how much we owe government, the progressive leftists and socialists and Obama's cabal should be thanking us. Without taxpayers, you wouldn't be able to build all your infrastructure and your bridges and highways and schools and airports. Your infrastructure exists because of us, because of our hard work. Your schools exist because of rich business owners who pay huge property tax bills. Your Social Security and Medicare and welfare and food stamps and unemployment exists because of business owners paying into the system. Yes, President Obama, it all exists because business owners do, in fact, work harder and smarter. And you better thank God we do it, or you'd be up the proverbial creek without a paddle. We're not dependent on government, Mr. Obama. Every government program and employee and handout addict is dependent on us. If we don't write the checks, you don't get paid, or you think money grows on trees. Like any smart small business owner, government should be treating its customers with honor, respect, and gratitude. Mr. Obama, you need to learn to say please when you ask for our money, and thank you after we pay. You need to learn how to treat customers well, or they will go away. There's the crux of the problem. Obama believes we have nowhere else to go. But we are going away. It's happening right now. In response to the way you've treated customers, Mr. Obama, they are leaving. American business is on strike. That's why there are no new jobs, and there won't be till after November 6th. The customers are not showing up anymore. Many are scaling back. Some businesses and some business people are going underground rather than work all day like slaves to pay 60% of their earnings to government. Some are retiring, or at least thinking about it. A poll just a few days ago shows because of Obamacare, 83% of all doctors are thinking of retiring. The idea of citizens being slaves to Mr. Obama just doesn't work out so well. And then there's the big one. Americans are leaving for places that treat customers better. Even Obama's rich, elite leftist crowd is refusing to pay the higher taxes he wants. Examples. One of the co-founders of Facebook renounced his citizenship and left for Singapore, where the income taxes are more tolerable and the capital gains are zero. Even though he's a latte-drinking, tree-hugging San Francisco Bay Area liberal, this Facebook co-founder left America rather than pay Obama's oppressive taxes. How about Denise Rich? She could be one of the top 5 Democratic contributors in all of America in the last 20 years. She's best friends with the Clintons, yet she just renounced her citizenship days ago. She, too, refuses to pay the massive Obama taxes on the way. So far, it's a trickle of ultra-rich that are leaving. Soon, if Obama's reelected, it will become a torrent. I personally know hundreds of small business owners exploring their options right now. Many are ready to leave the moment Obama's reelected. This is called running a business without any customers. The taxpayers are unhappy, and the only ones left will be Obama's voters, the takers. But there won't be anyone left to take from. And when that happens, Obama will learn an important business lesson. It's called bankruptcy. I'm Wayne Allen Root.
My friends, is Obama going to learn anything? I don't think so either. He's on his power trip. He is due to live the life of a king for the rest of his life, and that's basically as far as his thought process goes. Item from John Whitehead at the Rutherford Institute. Headline, the over-criminalization of America. Are we all criminals now? I quote, under the blazing Arizona sun stands an encampment of military tents filled with some 2,000 people. They battle the heat by positioning themselves in front of a few large fans, but they're of little use when the temperature reaches 145 degrees. Stun fences surround the perimeter, with 4 Skywatch towers bearing down on the occupants. Facial recognition software and K-9 units keep track of the people moving about, longing for their freedom. For the residents of Tent City Jail, their time behind bars is an exercise in humiliation. They're forced to dress in pink underwear. They work 7 days a week, are fed only twice a day, get no coffee, no cigarettes, no salt, pepper, or ketchup, and no organized recreation. They work on chain gangs and have to pay $10 every time they want to see a nurse. This draconian treatment is not reserved for hardened criminals. In fact, most inmates in Tent City are in prison for less than a year for minor crimes or are simply awaiting trial. It is in this Guantanamo-like facility, surrounded by hardened criminals and subjected to all manner of degradation and hardship, that Michael Salmon, who was fined more than $12,000 and sentenced to 60 days in jail starting July 9th for the so-called crime of holding a weekly Bible study in his Phoenix home, allegedly a violation of the city's building codes, is incarcerated. What happened to Michael Salmon, armed police raids of his property, repeated warnings against holding any form of Bible study at his home, and a court-ordered probation banning him from having any gatherings of more than 12 people at his home should never have happened in America. Yet this is the reality that more and more Americans are grappling with in the face of a government bureaucracy consumed with churning out laws, statutes, codes, and regulations that reinforce its power and value systems and those of the police state and its corporate allies. All the while, the life is slowly being choked out of our individual freedoms. The aim, of course, is absolute control by way of thousands of regulations that dictate when, where, how, and with whom we live our lives. Incredibly, Congress has been creating an average of 55 new crimes per year, bringing the total number of federal crimes on the books to more than 5,000, with as many as 300,000 regulatory crimes. As journalist Radley Balco reports, quote, that doesn't include federal regulations, which are increasingly being enforced with criminal, not administrative penalties. It also doesn't include the increasing leeway with which prosecutors can enforce broadly written federal conspiracy, racketeering, and money laundering laws. And this is before we even get to the state's criminal codes, unquote. In such a society, we are all petty criminals, guilty of violating some minor law. In fact, Boston lawyer Harvey Silvergate, author of 3 Felonies a Day, How the Feds Target the Innocent, estimates that the average American now unknowingly commits 3 felonies a day, thanks to an overabundance of vague laws that render otherwise innocent activity illegal, and an inclination on the part of prosecutors to reject the idea that there can't be a crime without criminal intent. Consequently, we now find ourselves operating in a strange new world where small farmers who dare to make unpasteurized goat cheese and share it with members of their community are finding their farms raided, while home gardeners face jail time for daring to cultivate their own varieties of orchids without having completed sufficient paperwork. This frightening state of affairs, where a person can actually be arrested and incarcerated for the most innocent and inane activities, including feeding a whale and collecting rainwater on their own property, is due to what law scholars refer to as over-criminalization, or the overt proliferation of criminal laws. Such laws, notes journalist George Will, which enable government zealots to accuse almost anyone of committing 3 felonies in a day, do not just enable government misconduct, they incite prosecutors to intimidate decent people who never had culpable intentions and to inflict punishments without crimes. Michael Salmon is merely one of the more unfortunate souls caught in the government's crosshairs. Only his so-called crime deserving of prosecution was daring to take part in a time-honored tradition that goes back centuries, gathering with family and friends at home for prayer and worship. Since 2005, Michael and his wife Suzanne have hosted Bible studies at their Phoenix home for 20 to 45 family and friends, depending on the day of the week and time. Attendees park their cars on the Salmons' 4.6-acre property so as not to crowd the street or inconvenience the neighbors. However, after some neighbors complained about the gatherings, city zoning officials started harassing the Salmons, advising them that they were breaking the law because religious activities, even in the home, have to be governed by building codes for churches rather than residential homes. Of course, these zoning officials had no problem with group gatherings for family reunions, football parties, Tupperware parties, or Boy Scout meetings. In June 2009, nearly a dozen armed police officers, accompanied by city inspectors, raided the Salmons' property, charging them with 67 code violations that apply to commercial and public buildings, including having no emergency exit signs over the doors, no handicap parking spaces, or handicap ramps. For more than 3 years, the Salmons attempted to placate city officials, even agreeing to install overhead sprinklers in their converted game room. But when zoning officials started insisting that the Salmons actually install paved roads and curbs on their private property, they said no more. That's when city officials really turned up the heat, sentencing Michael Salmon to 60 days in jail, more than $12,000 in fines, and a 2-year probation. Making matters worse, city officials then found Michael guilty of violating his probation by continuing to hold Bible studies on his private property after being ordered not to have more than 12 people gathered on his property at any one time. In addition to increased jail time for Michael and fines, the Salmons will also be subjected to unannounced monthly visits by government inspectors, checking to ensure that they do not have more than 12 people in their home at any time. Let's skip to the end. There was a time in our nation's history when such an accounting of facts would have sparked immediate outrage. However, having bought into the idea that anything the government says and does is right, even when it's so clearly wrong, many Americans, through their own compliance, have become unwitting accomplices in the government's efforts to prosecute otherwise law-abiding citizens for unknowingly violating some statute in its vast trove of laws written by bureaucrats who operate above the law. Yet, as Nathan Burney so adeptly points out in his illustrated guide to criminal law, quote, when crimes are too numerous to count, when you're punished not because what you did was wrong, but simply because the law says so, when laws are too vague or overbroad, that's not justice. Unquote. My friends, I'm going to let you ponder that. I don't need to say a word. We'll be back.
Just a good old boy. Hi, I'm Eric Cedarstrup. For over a decade, I've been the CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor of the Patriot Trading Group. And in that time, I've made friends with tens of thousands of like-minded individuals all over this country, most like me, trying to raise a family, run a business, and make sense out of a world gone mad. I'm proud of the fact that through stock bubbles, housing bubbles, and financial chaos, our customers are prospering and doing very well. By keeping our prices fair and our service fast, we find that 80% of our customers not only reorder, but they tell their friends. Don't be fooled by hype and high pressure. Do business with a company you can trust. Call the Patriot Trading Group at 1-800-951-0592 or check out our website at allamericangold.com. You'll be treated with honesty and respect. You have my word on it. I'm Eric Cedarstrom, CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor.
Making their way the only way they know how.
And of his fullness we have all received, and grace for grace. For the law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. No one has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, who is in the bosom of the Father, He has declared Him. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 16.
No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. Article 1, Section 10.
The Beth Messiah congregation invites you to come and experience a Messianic Roots biblically based congregational fellowship as we observe God's Shabbat in Messiah Yeshua. Praise and worship services begin at 10:30 a.m., followed by an Oneg Shabbat meal, mid-Rosh, and fellowship. Beth Messiah congregation is located at 8333 Acoma Way in North Denver. You can find out more information by calling 1-800-205-6245. Everyone's welcome, so join us this Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, good Sabbath. CINN Stations in Alt salutes our troops. Whether you're for the war or against it, they're still there. These men and women deserve more than our support. They deserve the comfort of home. Send a military care package today. Just type military care package into a search engine, point, and click. Let's show our troops we care. This message from CINN Stations in Alt, wishing Godspeed to our fighting men and women and thanking them for their triumphs and their sacrifices.
My friends, welcome back. Before I play this video, let me play you the very first comment that appears under it on YouTube. The comment says, and I quote, "Dear cops, this is why everyone hates you. Coupled with the fact that these officers will probably not be fired or charged with any criminal wrongdoing other than desk duty for 2 weeks." That's the comment under the video. Now here's the video. It comes from KIRO7 Team Investigation, Tacoma, Washington. You'll find it on YouTube. You will find it on my Facebook page, Riell Truth Radio. It comes via moxnews.com. Police tase a deaf woman who called them looking for help. You heard me. Let's listen.
Yes, tase me. Tase me. Without any warning. For no reason. I had no idea why.
Tacoma police used force to arrest and handcuff a deaf woman after she called 911 for help. Now, instead of getting an apology, she ended up bloody. She was thrown in jail for nearly 3 days without an interpreter before all charges were eventually dropped. After months of digging, Cairo 7 Team investigative reporter Chris Halsney uncovers serious questions about the official police version of what happened.
Some veteran officers tell me responding to a fight call is often chaotic. They have to make split-second decisions to stay safe. But here's the real question. If they make an error in that situation and arrest the victim instead of the alleged assaulter, will they admit it?
And ever since, I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's just been stressing me out, wondering what's going to happen next.
When LaShawn White found herself under attack in her own apartment, she turned on her special video-equipped phone.
Right now, this is serious.
And began frantically communicating in sign language to a deaf help relay service.
She's fighting at me, and then she chokes me. She comes right at me.
The words on this 911 call are LaShawn's, but the voice is that of a certified ASL interpreter speaking to Tacoma Police Dispatch. Internal police records show Officer Ryan Kuskovich and his partner were outside LaShawn's apartment complex in less than 6 minutes. Dispatch texted them along the way. Person doing the hitting is a Sophia. Victim is LaShawn White. According to dispatch officer communication logs, the patrolmen were repeatedly provided information that the victim could not hear a thing.
I'm deaf. I can't hear if they're out front knocking or whatever. I can't. No, are they going to the front or the back? Where are the police at?
The police want her to go outside the front door.
Oh, they're here? Okay, I'm on my way to meet them. I'm going right now.
LaShawn showed our cameras her route straight out of her basement apartment door, up one flight of stairs, and through the double glass doors leading to the street. A 30-second trip. To LaShawn, what happened next defies common sense, especially for a woman with no criminal record, no arrests, and just one minor traffic violation ever. Within seconds of running outside to meet police, Officer Kuskovich pulls out his taser and fires a 2-barbed electric wire into LaShawn's ribs and stomach.
You know, all I'm doing is waving my hand in the air, and then the next thing I know, I'm on the ground. And then I'm being, handcuffed. It was almost like I blacked out, I think. Because then I was so dizzy and disoriented.
Witnesses say LaShawn began bleeding heavily from her knuckles and then her face hit the pavement after the taser jolt. Pictures acquired by Team 7 investigators also show injuries to her cheek, chin, ribs, and arms.
Yes, right there. Behind
Worse yet, to her, was the incredible confusion that came with suddenly being in handcuffs, under arrest, and without the ability to communicate with the Tacoma officers, neither who knew any sign language.
And the next thing I know, they took me into jail. And they told me, please stand up, you're going to jail. I said, what? What have I done? I couldn't figure it out. I had no idea what was going on.
Cairo Team 7 investigators canvassed the area near the taser incident for witnesses. Margaret Sims's apartment is right over the spot. She says it was around 11:30 at night and dark when she heard LaShawn screaming in pain and ran to the balcony.
I hollered down and I said, she's deaf and can't speak.
Sims spoke with the officers while LaShawn was still in handcuffs. She says they admitted there was a misunderstanding.
They had faced her because he thought she was coming at him. Or what she was doing was running to him, but he said stop, but he didn't put his hand up. He just said stop. And she couldn't understand that.
I said, she's deaf. She couldn't even hear you.
Another apartment tenant, Geraldine Warren, says she heard the whole commotion, too.
When I got outside the door, he was standing there. I said, aren't you supposed to say, how, like that?
That's exactly what both officers told their superiors after the fact. Koskovich wrote, I yelled for White to stop and held my right hand up to signal for White to stop. White ignored my commands. He added, White was making a loud grunting noise, had a piercing stare in her eyes, and had a clenched right fist in the air. Using this statement as proof, Tacoma police hit LaShawn with 2 criminal charges, simple assault and obstruction of a law enforcement officer.
My friends, you get the idea. You can watch the rest of the video on my Facebook page or on YouTube. We have cops who, rather than take action, rather than engage their brains, they simply reach for their taser. So many times it's wrong, it's destructive. I've read you stories of cops tasing pregnant women, senior citizens, people in wheelchairs, soccer moms, you name it. You name it. So what we need is for the sky to fall on the cops who are guilty of wrongdoing and for them not to be cops anymore. And for other cops to see it and go, maybe I shouldn't be so quick with my taser. You think? Item from the ReaganCoalition.com. Obama is suing to restrict military votes, and Mitt Romney responds on Facebook, quote, President Obama's lawsuit claiming it's unconstitutional for Ohio to allow servicemen and women extended early voting privileges during the state's early voting period is an outrage. The brave men and women of our military make tremendous sacrifices to protect and defend our freedoms, and we should do everything we can to protect their fundamental right to vote. I stand with the 15 military groups that are defending the rights of military voters. And if I'm entrusted to be the commander-in-chief, I'll work to protect the voting rights of our military, not undermine them, unquote. My friends, just one more reason that Obama is a fake, a phony, a fraud, and does not deserve to be reelected. Item from OpEdNews.com. If you follow mainstream election coverage, you might think Mitt Romney had coasted to an easy, honest, well-deserved Republican nomination. Unfortunately for Republican voters, nothing could be further from the truth. The primary process has been an all-out slugfest, and many of the delegates Romney has won may be the result of dirty tricks and even election fraud. The following narrative includes links to reports, first-hand testimonials, and video evidence highlighting actions taken by the GOP to ensure a Romney victory at the expense of fracturing the party just prior to the general election. Party leaders at the county and state level have changed or violated party rules, canceled caucuses, thrown out entire counties of votes, counted public votes privately, called in the SWAT team, and inexplicably replaced Paul delegates with Romney delegates to block Ron Paul from winning the nomination, unquote. We'll be back.
The Beth Messiah Congregation invites you to come and experience a Messianic Roots biblically-based congregational fellowship as we observe God's Shabbat in Messiah Yeshua. Praise and worship services begin at 10:30 a.m., followed by an Oneg Shabbat meal, mid-Rosh, and fellowship. Beth Messiah Congregation is located at 8333 Acoma Way in North Denver. You can find out more information by calling 1-800-205-6245. Everyone's welcome, so join us this Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, good Sabbath.
An emergency preparedness plan for your home, car, school, and office is a must. Knowing how to store water safely, survive extreme temperature changes, provide reliable shelter, first aid, and sanitation is critical. Knowing where to get the best lights, radios, and other supplies is easy. Ferris Survival, located at 3366 South Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing realistic preparedness supplies at affordable prices. Stop by, go online, or call 303-781-0343, 866-781-0343. If you're spending hard-earned money on supplements, you need to know about BioSuperfood because you're probably shortchanging yourself on nutrition and value. If you're buying products claiming to provide DNA protection from radiation, you're getting ripped off by inferior copycat products because there's no other product developed or researched like BioSuperfood. BioSuperfood is one complete superfood product that addresses radiation poisoning, allergies, arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other degenerative diseases. BioSuperfood helps digestion, decreases pain and inflammation, increases flexibility, improves heart health and brain function. It boosts your immune system and even inhibits the AIDS virus in cancerous cells. It's an antibacterial, antifungal, and anti-inflammatory. BioSuperfood is not another supplement. It's a whole food and contains over 5,000 nutrients. Call now and ask about your special discounts on your BioSuperfood purchase at 303-257-7576. That's 303-257-7576 or biosuperfood@hotmail.com.
On Shabbat, July the 7th, Beth Messiah Congregation invites you to join them in praise and worship with Sue Samuels, a Hebraic root singer from Rhode Island. Sue and her husband Brian have been sharing music together for over 15 years, and together they have 3 CDs. Again, the date is July the 7th at 10:45. That's at 8333 Acoma Way, Beth Messiah Congregation, and we'll see you there.
Friends, welcome back to Riell Truth. 4 days ago, Rob Gray of OpenCurrency.com testified before Congressman Ron Paul's subcommittee to examine sound money and parallel currencies. Let's bring you some of what Mr. Gray told Mr. Paul, Congressman Paul, and his committee. It's important for each of us to listen. Listen closely.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now we'll go to Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Rob Gray, and I was asked to testify today on the theory of competing currencies and the practical challenges that make such a theory difficult or impossible to implement. For nearly 5 years now, I've successfully directed the American Open Currency Standard, the standard for private voluntary silver, copper, and gold currencies that compete against each other, not against the U.S. dollar. Allow me to clarify, we do not consider AOCS-approved medallions produced and traded in our private barter marketplace competition at all to the U.S. Federal Reserve note. Because fair competition, as one would find in the free market, assumes the existence of a level playing field, the existence of a standard set of rules. Those players who wish to compete honestly do so by simply relying on the merit of the value that they bring to the market. Well, no fair challenge can be made between honest men and thieves. And let me be clear when I say thieves. I refer directly to the current private central bank and the men in government who allow it to exist. Brings us to a critical point. According to your employee handbook, Article 1, Section 8 says that Congress shall have the power to coin money, regulate the value thereof. And I would argue that since 1913, Congress has failed to do the job with which it has been tasked. In the free market, since our inception, the Open Currency Standard has enjoyed nearly 5 years of growth and success, and our mission of issuing a means that allows valuable exchanges among men who produce. In the next 5 years, we expect to expand our offerings and to increase our ability to keep up with the demand for our private currency. We are doing the job today that Congress would not. But back to theory. The use of community currencies here in the U.S. became popular.
We'll stop right there. They're doing the job that Congress will not. Congress will not do its job. Why? Congress gets paid quite a nice salary. Why? Congress gets amazing benefits that you and I don't get. Why? If Congress won't do its job, why the hell are we paying them so much money and granting them so much influence over our lives? That's the question we need to ask loud and clear, and don't stop asking till you get a good answer. Item from ETF Daily News. Lieutenant General William Boykin, retired, told True News Radio Tuesday that the U.S. economy of the United States, quote, is just about to break and collapse. And when the dam gives way, severe food shortages and pervasive violence throughout America will warrant, in his opinion, an executive declaration of martial law. Quote, I'll be very honest with you, the situation in America could be such that martial law is actually warranted. And that situation, in my view, could occur if we had an economic collapse, said Boykin, former CIA Deputy Director of Special Activities. Quote, the dam is just about to break on our economy, and I think when it does, there's going to be a major disruption of the distribution of food, he added. And I think what you'll see, particularly in the inner cities, is riots, civil unrest that may ultimately justify martial law, unquote. Item from the American thinker, former Riell Truth guest, Noni Darwish, reporting, quote, recently a Pakistani religious leader, Pirzada Muhammad Raza Saqib Mustafa, said, quote, when the Jews are wiped out, the sun of peace will begin to rise on the entire world, unquote. The same preaching is routinely done not only by clerics, but by politicians in Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and elsewhere. This is not just Ahmadinejad. It's at the very heart of Islamic theology that world peace will be established only when all the Jews are wiped from the earth. But few people in Western media are alarmed by this kind of rhetoric or care to expose this dreadful dark side of Islam's obsession with Jew hatred. I do not believe that one has to be an authority on human behavior or group thinking to find the obvious pathology in Islamic Jew hatred. It's time for us to uncover and expose this atrocity against the Jewish people. We owe that to humanity and the truth. No true Muslim can see that such hatred is unbecoming and unholy for a world religion to focus on, and that the credibility of Islam is tarnished by such hatred. No Muslim is allowed to go far enough to self-analyze or ask why such hatred. Muslims defend Jew hatred by claiming Jews betrayed Muhammad and thus deserve this kind of treatment. Even when I was a Muslim, I believed the one-sided story against the Jews by Islam was enough to justify all the killing, terror, lies, and propaganda by Islamic leaders against Jews. To the average Muslim, routinely cursing Jews in mosques feels normal and even holy. After a lot of thinking, analysis, research, and writing, I discovered that Jew hatred in Islam is an essential foundation to the Islamic belief system that Muslims cannot seem to be able to rid themselves of. Jew hatred masks an existential problem in Islam. Islam is terrified of the Jews, and the number one enemy of Islam is the truth, which must be constantly covered at any cost. It does not matter how many Muslim men, women, and children die in the process of saving Islam's reputation. The number one duty of Muslims is to protect the reputation of Islam and Muhammad. But why would a religion burden its followers like that? Unquote. My friends, the story continues. Let me make only one observation. Noni Darwish writes that Islam is terrified of the Jews. Well, they have no reason to be terrified of Jews until I have some measure of power. Item from Raw Story. The city of Stockton, California, declared bankruptcy a month ago and is in the process of sorting out its financial affairs. Now it's been hit with a fresh indignity in the form of a threatened lawsuit from Assured Guarantee, a company based in Bermuda which provides insurance against defaults on municipal bonds. In 2007, Stockton borrowed $125 million in the bond market to pay for enhanced pension benefits and invested the money in its California Public Employees Retirement System account, where it lost about one-third of its value in the economic crash. Stockton still owes $124 million in payments on the bonds, but its bankruptcy plan calls for it to pay only $21 million. Assured Guarantee finds it unacceptable that Stockton is giving top priority to paying its own employees' pensions. It calls this, quote, a contortion of the bankruptcy process, unquote, and insists it is unacceptable for the city, quote, to prefer one class of similarly situated over another, unquote. In other words, the bank is saying, don't pay the people, pay the bank. Thus goes the banking system, thus goes America, thus goes the world. We'll be back.
Author and lecturer Avi Ben Mordecai will be at the Hebrew House in Greeley, Colorado, August the 10th for a special Arab Shabbat service starting at 7 p.m. A meal will be included. Avi will also lecture on August the 11th from noon until 10 p.m. Dinner will be served from 5 until 7 p.m. We look forward to sharing this special blessing with you. All adults 18 and over are welcome. Please, no children. For more information, call 970-518-8489. That's 970-518-8489. Article 4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched, and the persons or things to be seized. Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245. Restore Health and Counseling salutes the men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedoms. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they have fought hard to restore peace. America's troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. That's from Restore Health and Counseling at 4705 Paris Street, serving Northeast Denver with complete substance abuse counseling for adolescent to adult and for private as well as professional drug, alcohol screening and treatment and rehabilitation. Visit us at www.rhctherapy.com or call 303-373-1188.
Item from the InfidelTaskForce.com. Hundreds of children have been forced into armed groups in northern Mali, some serving as soldiers and others used as sex slaves, rights campaigners told reporters on Sunday. We have several hundred children aged between 9 and 17 years old within the ranks of the armed groups, including the Islamists who control northern Mali, said Mahmoud Lamine Sissi, president of a Malian child rights coalition. After investigations, we've corroborating information that these children are used as soldiers, minesweepers, scouts, spies, messengers, lookouts, cooks, and sexual slaves in the case of young girls, Sissi told journalists. The children were mostly from Mali, Senegal, and Niger, he said, unquote. My friends, remember, Muslims are no different than we are they? Item from the Daily Caller. A bipartisan group of senators led by South Carolina Republican Jim DeMint introduced the Pay for Printing Act Thursday, which would require senators to pay for celebratory, simple resolutions with money from their own budgets. During the 112th Congress, the Senate has already passed over 350 simple resolutions and introduced over 100 more. They've mostly been symbolic feel-good declarations, including, as the Daily Caller reported in June, National Chest Day, National Safe Digging Month, Year of Water, National Renters Month, Collector Car Appreciation Day, and the Year of the Family Caregiver. The Mint's office points out that each resolution page costs an $1,200. A Daily Caller investigation in June revealed that the 318 simple resolutions passed since January 2011 cost taxpayers $381,600. Dozens of additional simple resolutions have been passed since then, and their total price tag in this Congress now amounts to more than $400,000, unquote. My friends, no big deal. We didn't need that money anyway. Item from Pam Geller at Atlas Shrugs. Today heralded the dawning of a new era of cooperation between pro-freedom groups in Europe, the U.S., Australia, and elsewhere. Freedom fighters from around the world converged in Stockholm to stand with one voice against oppression, tyranny, and fascism. And the fascist thugs were out in force. Police at one point found a suspicious package from the leftists and examined it out of concern it was a bomb. Turned out to be a large firecracker. But clearly the left fascists who left it wanted police to think it was a bomb and to create an atmosphere of menace and terror so that people would be too frightened to attend our event. Swedish police in riot gear cordoned off the area of our rally on both sides and blocked entrance to it with police vans. But while the leftist media, which swarmed around our event like jackals, will tell you that we are the threat, the police had to face violence only from the leftist protesters. Desperate that our message of freedom not be heard, they blew vuvuzelas, screaming bloody murder, chanted EDL go to hell, and kept up a constant din while throwing eggs and firecrackers at the police and at any pro-freedom activist who got too close to them. One firecracker exploded in the policeman's face. He had to be taken away in an ambulance. Nonetheless, several hundred people braved the leftist thugs and the police barricades and joined us, unbowed and resolutely determined to stand for freedom and truth. When Robert Spencer and I got out of the car, the crowd started applauding. And when so many people came up to us to express their gratitude for our work, it was humbling and gratifying. The media was out in force as well, taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures of us, no doubt in an attempt to find the very worst shots, and inundating Robert and me with interview questions attempting to smear us as racists and inciting to murder. But it was noteworthy in itself that the media was there at all. In Europe, this is a huge story, while in the U.S., the media seems determined to ignore the issue of Islamic supremacist encroachment upon our freedom, unquote. Hats off to Pam Geller, hats off to Robert Spencer, hats off to anyone who visits their website and gets educated about the threat we're facing. More Real Truth tomorrow. I'll see you then.